You say that loving yourself is very important. So how do we do that? How do we love ourselves?
Well, loving ourselves is very important because there is nothing else. There is only us. There is nothing out there. Everything that comes from out there, it's a response to the degree of appreciation that we have, or disappreciation that we have, we are carry on within our moment by moment journey. So the more you appreciate life and the more you love life, the more you raise up your frequencies. And as soon you raise up frequencies, you shift immediately into a different mirror, in a different, completely different world, completely different reality. You're constantly shifting into different reality.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good idea to love yourself, because the more you love yourself, the more you shift into a loving world. The less you love yourself, the more you shift into the not so loving world. There's nothing wrong, it's just an experience. But of course, the degree of suffering and intensity and negative impact in your experience, it increase or decrease based on that. So there are many people that they want to suffer, they choose suffering, and they have probably good reason to make that choice, reasons that cannot be seen by addressing the person on just this specifically frame of time, which we call this lifetime. This reason can be addressed maybe in past lifetimes, parallel lifetime, because past and future don't exist, so it's all parallel, it's all happening right now. So, but back to your question, mm-hmm. How do you love yourself? I believe that it's a question that was not necessary before the matrix was created. It was like how do you breathe? You just breathe. Of course, there are better ways to breathe, but even those are the reason why you don't breathe properly is because you have some kind of anxiety or some kind of contraction, and so your breath is not natural. How do you love yourself? By becoming more aware. With awareness, you have more connection power to who you are, and to the ability to appreciate life and to appreciate yourself. The difference between Jesus, let's say that we decide that the idea of Jesus exists, is real. The difference between Jesus and a normal person is that Jesus has a higher level appreciation of life. That's all. It's really simple. There is not better. It's not better. It just has a different level of appreciation. So how can we increase the level of appreciation? By becoming more and more fully ourselves, and by recognizing who we are, because in that recognition we figure out how beautiful we are, how real beauty is residing in each of us, and and also how much appreciation we have with the idea, with the fact that we are having this physical experience. The reason I think the best way to address the question how we love ourselves is to first address the question how we do not love ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, how come that I came to a place in which I am not loving myself? And maybe addressing that will take us to the same result.
Mm-hmm.
So the real question is, why are we not loving ourselves?
Yeah.
What is it there that is convincing us that we are not worthy of love, of self-love? And of course, we got into an ocean of questions, of reasons. Mostly, it's of course absence of love is fear. So where is fear coming from? What is it that creates this idea of fear? There are something is causing this on us.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like all the fears are linked to the primordial fear of death.
Yeah.
Somebody created, installed in our system the idea of death, which I think even science now understand that there is no such a case. There is no such a thing as death. There are changes that the ego could interpret as death. But if we step into our female energy and our heart, we realize that it's very hard for us to, for example, give ourselves an age. If you close your eyes and you talk with your heart and you ask how old you are, well, the heart and the soul will say, I don't understand your question. What do you mean how old you are? You always existed, you will always exist. There is no such a thing as a beginning or as an end. There is a beginning of experience and an end of experience, but the ending of experience does not need to be confused with the ending of your life. Same thing, if you ask to the cellular structure of your body, to a cell, how old you are, there is no such a thing as aging. The cell says, we are, there's no, what do you mean? I don't understand. You know? Mm-hmm. So all the fears in this world have been manufactured and cultivated from one primordial idea, which is the idea of dying. Once the idea of dying is processed and relinquished, then I think all the other fears will be like a domino reaction. They will just follow one after the other. So maybe one way to address how we can love ourselves is to address the fear of death and resolve that and getting deep into that and come to the realization that there is no such a thing as death. And then eventually all these fears that are branches of the same primordial fear of death will dissipate, and once there is no fear, the only choice that we have left is to love ourselves and everything else that exists. But now I know that all these exchange, it doesn't give the mind something that really, yeah, but what am I supposed to do, right? Give me something practical, because I don't understand. I need something practical. I think probably there are an infinite number of ways to increase our love for ourselves. The things that comes to mind right now is starting to connect with those portals that I was mentioning. We all have access to different high vibrational fields that operate outside of our little bubble matrix structure, and we can access these portals, and the more we enter in those portals, the more we relax all the fears, and we increase the appreciation of our life. So if I surrender myself to something that involves me creatively, that might take me to that. If I surrender myself to stillness, which is another portal, I might start to get into that energy that increase my level of appreciation for life. And same thing if I connect with nature, that also will help me a lot to increase the love of myself, because I will start to gather information that are beyond the fear-based matrix artificially created reality. So those are good ways to start to tap into a more self-loving energy field. Yeah, I think those are the first thing that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
So start to addressing why is it that I don't love myself? What is it that maybe looking at the things that we do and becoming aware of the things that we do that are fear-based. And then starting to ask the question, why am I doing something out of fear, and what is the fear coming from? And go deeper into that kind of self-search. Stepping out of ignorance, meaning diminishing our level of ignorance, of ignoring, not knowing, not being aware. It's probably another very important way to increase our self-loving energy field, because most of the fear are coming from the fact that we ignore, we don't know. And that's why the system does so much in order to make sure that we keep a level of ignorance, or at least we are misinformed or disinformed. Because it is aware, is a system that is aware that if we are in the knowing, it will not be possible to be making choices out of fear, and when we don't make choices out of fear, we cannot be controlled, and we cannot be we are not predictable anymore, we are not corruptible anymore. So that's another way to increase our love, to really have develop a visceral passion for life and for knowing and finding out more what is this life, and then there into the experience, because there are different degrees of knowing. There is a mind knowing, where I have accumulated data. I have read 1,000 books. I got 4 degrees, and I have all kind of knowledge in my mind. But that doesn't mean anything until you don't take action. So once you have the knowledge, then you have to shift from a knowledge that is mind to a cellular knowledge, where you became what you know. So once you become what you know, you don't even need to talk anymore about it. You just are. And so that is master. So let's now get new form of informations, elaborate with the mind, and then become what we know, and so on and on and on. Many of us in this planet somehow stop at the first level of knowing, which is mind-readable knowing. And there are some people that become famous, and they become gurus, and they teach, and they write books that sell millions of copies, and they are beautiful, and their teaching is wonderful and valuable. But if you talk to them, you realize that their knowing is still a mind related, and is still not crystallized into their cellular structure. So they haven't just yet become what they are teaching. And so when and that's all good. By teaching, eventually also they can, if they don't step in too much into their ego, they can keep practicing, and as we know, there is no differentiation between the student and the teacher. They are both teacher and they are both student all the time, right? So we need to yes, to get to know things, but then also we have to become those things that we claim we know. And once we become what we learn, then I suspect that our self-love doesn't have any other choice but increase, because now we know, we feel more life. We have a direct experience with life, and so we feel life, and now we are equipped to appreciate it and to love it more, and therefore we love ourselves more. It's like if you read 200 books about how to swim and become a doctor in swimminology, it's all well and good, but until you don't jump in the water and you start to swim, you really do know nothing about swimming. But the moment you jump in the water and you start to swim, you start to have a genuine appreciation for swimming, because now you have the experience, you felt it. Because we are here to feel. And that's what's, for some strange reason, scare us the most, to feel things. We are all trying not to feel so much because we are afraid of our emotions. But anyway, back to the idea of the swimminologer that goes to finally to swim. Now he actually realized that there was not really so much need to know all the names of the muscles that are involved when you start to swim. There is not really a good reason to know that. That's the heart doesn't really care about that. The heart cares about you jumping in the water and feeling the muscle moving in the water, and the freshness and the deliciousness of going through the water. And now you, at the end of, you come out from the experience of swimming, and now you have even more appreciation for life. You have more appreciation for your body. You have more appreciation for the ocean or the lake or the river where you swim, and all this appreciation increases your sense of love for life, and actually diminish the fear that you might have to conquer at the moment when you have to jump in the water for the first time. So you also have understood a little bit more that all the fears are an illusion. So that basically the vortex of energy and the dance that you have to achieve in order to love yourself. I guess the best way to love yourself is to experience fully life as much as you can.
Yeah.
So basically that's probably the general answer to that general question. How do you love yourself? Just fully jump into the life and live life fully, and by doing so, your love and appreciation for everything that exists and for yourself will increase.